بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم.
شروع اللہ کے نام سے جو رحمان و رحیم ہے.
اقرأ بسم ربک الذی خلق.
پڑھو اے نبی اپنے رب کے نام کے ساتھ جس نے پیدا کیا.
خلق الانسان من علق.
جمے ہوئے خون کے ایک لوتھڑے سے انسان کی تخلیق کی.
اقرأ وربک الاکرم.
پڑھو اور تمہارا رب بڑا کریم ہے.
الذی علم بالقلم.
جس نے قلم کے ذریعے سے علم سکھایا.
علم الانسان ما لم يعلم.
انسان کو وہ علم دیا جسے وہ نہ جانتا تھا.
Assalamu alaikum. Today we are starting with the great name of Allah Almighty, who is the most beneficent and ever merciful. Welcome back to all students in the last video session for mathematics of grade 8. So students, in the last previous classes, the video sessions, we have completed our midterm content for first semester 2020, and I am extremely sure that you have also completed your copy work for the previous 6 weeks, and today we are starting our revision for the midterm content at a glance. So first of all, in content, the very first chapter is our chapter number 1. That is quadratic equations and functions. This is the name of our chapter number 1, and in this particular chapter we have discussed the 4 different methods. Number 1, factorization method. Number 2, completing square method. Number 3, using quadratic formula. Last one is the most easiest but the longest one, the graphical method. So as the name of our chapter implies, this is the particular chapter for our quadratic equations. What are the quadratic equations? As we all know that what quadratic stands for the square form, and equations means a particular mathematical statement that is showing any particular equality for any particular mathematical statement. So quadratic equations means the mathematical statements that are having the equalities regarding their terms, and they are in the square form. The maximum or the largest term is in the square form, and after that its function, and all these are the functions, the methods that we are working for the quadratic equations. So the basic structure of quadratic equation that we have discussed in the very first video class, this is ax square plus bx plus c is equals to 0. And for the very first method, for which purpose we are applying these 4 particular methods? We are applying these 4 different methods for solving the quadratic equations. From the very first method till the last method, we are working for the solution of the given quadratic equations that are given in the different forms, and the first one form is their standard form. This is the standard form for your quadratic equation. So for the first one method, that is factorization, what we have to do whenever we are applying the factorization method, whenever we are working for the factorization, it simply means that we have to split the different terms that are given in the quadratic equation form. So firstly we will work on the left hand side, we will break the midterm. The type of factorization that we are applying over here, this is your midterm breaking factorization, and for that we have to break this midterm into 2 different factors by applying the 2 simple terms, that is p multiplied by q is equals to b, and p plus or minus q is equals to your AC. So these are the 2 different terms that we have to apply to factorize the midterm. After applying these 2 particular conditions, we will be able to factorize the whole equation for the left hand side then whenever we are having the two different equations or the two different parts of equation, then we will simply find out the values of the variables. And we must remember that what do we mean by simplifying any particular equation. So by simplifying any particular equation, we mean that, or we refer to this, that we have to find out the value of the different variables that are given in any particular equation. So if the equation is given in this form, for example 2x square minus 3x plus 9 is equals to 0, the mathematical form of the quadratic equation. So in this particular equation, if I am working by applying any of these particular methods, so it simply means that I have to work for this particular x. Whether this x is repeated for the two times, for the first one term this is given as your square term, and for the second term this is not having any particular exponent, so this is representing or showing the exponent of 1, and right over here we are not having any particular variable, so this is showing the power of x as 0. After that, that is our second method, completing square method. What do we do for the completing square method? For completing square method, first of all we have to remember the two different formulae that we have discussed also in the previous classes, and in the two different classes we have used these two different formulae, and these are whether we are having a plus b whole square or a minus b whole square, so it will represent a square plus 2ab plus b square on the right hand side, and right after a square minus 2ab plus b square on the right hand side respectively. If we are having the positive sign between a and b, so we will mention the plus sign with the 2ab, and if I am having the minus sign between these two particular terms on my left hand side, then on the right hand side with the middle term I will mention my sign of subtraction or the minus sign. And if these two different formulas are combined, so what is the form? Plus minus whole square is equals to a square plus minus, repeating the same sign. If the plus sign is above the minus sign, then you will mention the plus sign above the minus sign on the right hand side. This is your 2ab and this is your b square. So this is the collective form and these two are the individual forms. So by applying this particular formulas, we have applied or we have considered this completing square method. So for this completing square method, the question is given in the right hand form side, and for this particular side we are given only the two different terms. The third one term is missing. So firstly we have to find out the third one term by making the half of the coefficient of your midterm. The coefficient of the midterm, the x, you will have this, and by dividing it 2 or multiplying by 1 over 2, then you will write the b square term, and after making this one term, the right hand side is completed now according to this particular formula, and then you will pick from your a from here and your b from here, and you will enclose them in this particular parenthesis or round bracket, and you will mention a whole square over them. So this is all about your completing square. Now for the next, the third one and the most easiest method, the easiest one, and in this method we have to simply apply a particular formula, and that is x is equals to minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. This particular formula is known as quadratic formula. This is your quadratic formula because this is showing the variable x in the terms of a, b and c. This is your a, b and this is your c. So what are the a, b, c? As we know that a, b, c are the coefficients of the different variables that are given in the quadratic equation. For example, 2x square minus 3x plus 9 is equal to 0. This is the example that I have mentioned. So this is the 2, this is minus 3 and this is plus 9. So this is your a, b and c. So these three different constants or the numbers representing your a, b, c, the three different terms, and 2 is the coefficient of x square, minus 3 is the coefficient of x, and 9 is the constant term. And we have to simply remember that whenever we are having or we are working for the values of a, b, c, so we will pick the number of x square or b or c along with their signs. Whatever the sign they are having, they are representing your a, b, c. So after picking your elements for a, b, c, first of all, how do you apply or how will you work for this particular method? First of all, you will consider your equations For ABC, as you have considered, you have find out the values of ABC. Right after that, you will apply this particular formula. In the very first step, you will substitute all the values, and after that you have to just simplify the equation for x. So this is your third one method, the completing square method. Now discussing our last and the best method. So this is your last one method, the graphical method. In graphical method, there are the three main steps that we have to follow whenever we are having the graphical question in examination or whenever we are practicing any graphical question. So we have to simply follow the three different steps. Step 1 is the completion of the table. We will work firstly for the table, and in step 2 we have to plot our graph. And for the third one method, you will simply judge your question or judge your graph or the curve for the value of x. So how do we complete the table? In any particular graphical question, you are given basically with the table, and if the table is still not given, so the first step will remain same. Firstly, you will make the table for the values of x and y, so that we may find out the coordinates or the values for the x and the y respectively. Now for the second step, with the help of this particular table and with the help of these coordinates of x and y, you will plot the particular graph. For plotting the particular graph, the measurement or the judgment for the scale is a very important step for a graph. Firstly, whenever you are starting to plot your graph, so at the very first step you will mention your scale for the x-axis, the horizontal axis, and then your scale for the y-axis, your vertical axis. So after writing your scale and mentioning your scale at the left topmost side of your graph paper, you will start plotting the coordinates of x and y with the help of this table. So this is your step number 2. For step number 3, what you will do for this step number 3, for example, this is my graph and this is representing x-axis, this is representing y-axis, and this is our origin point, the intersection of x and the y-axis. So with the help of this graph, for example, my points are in this form, and now I am joining these points for completing my step number 2, plotting the graph. So by joining these particular points with the help of my hand and pencil without using any scale, all these points are connected to make a smooth curve. Now for the third step, we are going to judge this particular curve. If this curve is above your x-axis as shown in this particular diagram, so your value for x is considered as 0 or undefined, you may say this. And if this particular curve is touching your x-axis for the two different points, for example, just like this, so this curve is representing your value of x for the two different values, the first one value and the second one value. As this x-axis is representing your negative x-axis, the negative values of the x variable. So we will start the scale from here. So firstly you will write this one value, then you will write this one value. So this is your graph showing your x values for the two different times. Now the third one and the last one condition, if your graph is touching only one point of your x-axis, this is your last one condition. So as you can see that this graph or this particular smooth curve is touching my x-axis on one particular point. So in this condition, we will have only one particular value for this variable x. So this is how do we judge the graph from step number 2 that we have plot with the help of step number 1, and how do we work for the values of x. And you have to remember that whatever the method we are applying, our motive, our focus is only one for all these particular methods, that we have to find out the values of variables given in the equation as in the form of x or any particular form. It may be y, it may be z. So whatever the variable is given in the quadratic equation, we have to work for that. Now we are moving to our very next chapter, that is such a simple and unique chapter from our particular book. And in this chapter we have discussed a new concept of mathematics that is completely opposite to your chapter number 1, and the name of the chapter is linear inequalities in one variable. As we have discussed, what is an equation? So an equation is just a mathematical statement that is showing any type of equality for the left hand side or the left hand side of that particular statement. So what are the inequalities? Inequalities are the reverse or the opposites of the equalities, and inequalities means that we are having a diagonal line on this particular sign. If this sign is written in this form, this is read as is equal to, and if this sign is represented as this particular diagonal line, so this is read as is not equal to. So if there is equality, so this is simply an equality. But if there is an inequality, so there are the two different conditions for the both sides of the inequality. They may be lesser or they may be greater. So here I am mentioning all the topics that we have covered in this unique chapter, chapter number 3. The first one method or the first one concept is your less than, that is represented by this particular sign, or it may be less than equal to, and this is represented by this particular sign, the same symbol that we use for the less than, but with an additional line below this particular symbol. Respectively, second concept, greater than, represented by this, the opposite sign of less than. This is the symbol for your greater than, and obviously the next part of this symbol, greater than and equal to, similar to your less than. This is greater than, by the help of an additional line it becomes greater than and equal to. Third one concept, the number line. How do we represent the different inequalities on a particular line? So this is known as number line. The fourth one is your range of inequalities. How do we make the ranges, or how do we make them limited? With the help of different concepts. And the last one topic, this is your limits of accuracy. Limits of accuracy. So as you can see that from the very first topic we are having the less than and equal to, in the second one we are having greater than, third one we are having number line, and for the fourth one we are having the range of inequalities. The third one is the limits of accuracy. So what is the lesson? For example, if I am saying that x is equals to 2, the very first statement, in the next statement I am saying that x is not equal to 2. If this x is not equal to 2, so there are the two different conditions, x must be less or x must be greater than this particular 2. So we are mentioning the two different conditions. In first one condition, x is less than 2, and for this particular second condition, x is greater than 2. So these are the two different conditions for inequalities, and if I am mentioning my additional line below these two different symbols, so it becomes the second category of the inequality, and this is representing less than and equal to, means our x is starting from x to or the numbers that are less than 2, that may be 1, 0 and all the negative numbers. For this second one, x is greater than and equal to 2, this is representing all the values for the x that are 2 or greater than 2. Greater than 2 includes 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. After that we are having number line. What is a number line? Number line is simply a mathematical straight line that is having different points. The right side represents all the positive numbers, the left side represents all the negative numbers, and at the center of this line we are having a 0, the neutral number or the chargeless number you may call it. This is the sample of your number line. In center I am having my 0, and on the right hand side I am having 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the left hand side I am having -1, -2, -3 and -4. So the right hand side, on the right hand side the number that I have written as 1, 2, 3, they are not having any particular sign. So whenever we are having a number that is not having any sign, so it represents your positive numbers. So this particular right hand side is your positive side, and this one, the left hand side is representing or having the negative signs or the minus sign. So this is representing your negative hand or the negative hand of your number line. So this is your number line, and on this number line we have to represent our inequalities. For example, if I am saying that x is greater than and equal to 2. So I am mentioning this particular inequality on this number line. How will I work? I will start my work with the help of the dash line, and from 2, the number 2, I am mentioning this dash line. Right over the dash line I will mention a tiny circle, and after that I will join an arrow by its tail. As you know that on a tail, whenever we are having an arrow, so arrow is having a tail and a head. So we have to move the arrow in this form, means the tail is connected to the 0, to this particular circle. So this is representing your inequality from 2 and onwards. So this is your x that is greater than from 2, and this is also equal to 2, means the value of x may be started from 2 or it may be the greater. So if I am having this line below my less than or equality sign, so I will mention this tiny circle or with the help of this shaded line, and if this is not having this mark of equality, so this circle or this tiny circle will be empty, it will not have any color. Next topic, the second last topic, the range of inequalities. How do we maintain the range of the different inequalities if I am having the two different inequalities for my x? So I will combine them and they will become the range of the x. For example, 2 is less than and equal to x, and x is less than and equal to 4. This is the range of x. As you can see that in this particular mathematical statement, I have used the symbol less than and equal to for the two different times. So the use of this symbol for the two times is representing your range. Whenever we are having a range, so the less than symbol or the greater than symbol will be used for the two different times. So this is representing from where the x is starting and on which number the x or the values of the x are getting ended. So this is 2. So this is representing your inequality from 2 till 4. 2 and onwards, and with the help of this range. Now how do we represent this particular range on this number line? So this number line that is drawn on the board, this is representing only your this one inequality, and now we are drawing this for the second one inequality, and your second inequality is 4. Your x is less and equal to 4. So x is ending on the 4. So from 4 I have drawn this particular line, that is the dash line, and x is less than 4. So the arrow must move from here till here, because this is the lesser side. As we are moving to the right hand side, this is representing your greater values, and as we move on the right hand side, so this is representing our lesser values or the less values. So this is the symbol that I have drawn, and again with the dash line I am combining these two terms, and again this is having a equality mark. So I am mentioning a color with these two particular circles, and now I am doing some particular shade in these two particular lines. So they are representing the range of x, as x is starting from 2 and it is ending on the 4. Now the very last topic, that is limits of accuracy. In limits of accuracy we have the two different terms. The first one is upper bound and the second one is your lower bound. What is upper bound? Upper bound is the maximum value. Second one, the last one, is your lower bound. So what is the upper bound? And upper bound is the value that is the maximum value for any particular range, and what is the lower bound? Lower bound is the value that is the minimum value for any particular range. So if my x was starting from 2 and it was ending on my 4. So this is your the minimum value and this is the maximum value. For upper bound and lower bound, for finding out the maximum or the minimum number for any particular number, we have to apply the particular concepts that we have discussed earlier. For example, if I am having a decimal number, so I will add my number according to the decimal condition. 6.2. I am taking the same example as I have told you in the video class for this particular chapter. For this particular exercise 3C, and the example was 6.2. I have to make this number or I have to convert this simple number, that is 6.2, a decimal number, in the upper and the lower bound. So for making or converting this in the upper or in the lower bound, I have to add and subtract a same number from this particular number. I will add the same number, then I will add the subtract the same number from this to make your upper bound and similarly your lower bound. So for making upper bound, the number should be added. This is the decimal number, this is representing your decimal point. So firstly you will mention the 0 point, then you will add the zeros. The number of zeros depends upon the number that are on the right hand side of your decimal point. So on the right hand side of my decimal point I am having 2, means 1 digit. So I will increase only 1 0, right after that I will mention my 5. Similarly, we have to subtract the same number, so this will be 0.05. So if we will add this number and we will subtract this number, so the resultant answer will be your upper and the lower bound. So to some extent we may say that the fourth one concept, the range of the inequalities, and the last one concept, that is limits of accuracy, is the same, and we are having the different ranges using this two different concepts, and we may also represent the different inequalities on the number line as we have discussed right now. So this is your chapter number 3. In exercise 3A we were having the simple questions regarding these 3 different concepts. In exercise 3B we were having all these 4 different concepts, the less than, the greater than, the number line, and then including the range of inequalities, but in the word problem form, means in the wordy form, in which the questions are given in the wordy form. For the last one method, we have discussed this method and we have covered this method in exercise 3C, the very last exercise of your chapter number 3. Now moving to our last chapter of midterm content, that is your chapter number 11, namely congruence and similarity. Chapter number 11. Congruence and similarity tests. So what is congruence and what is similarity? They have the 2 different definitions in the book, but actually concept wise these are same. The congruence and the similarity, yes, these are same, but with a little difference. For congruence, if we are talking about the congruence of the 2 different triangles, what is a triangle? A triangle is a particular shape that has 3 different sides and 3 different angles, means there are total 6 elements for any particular triangle. For example, this is a triangle. So there are 3 different sides, side 1, side 2, side 3, and there are also the 3 different angles, angle 1, angle 2, angle 3. So 3 sides and 3 angles. So collectively they became 6 elements of a triangle. Now we are discussing the congruence and the similarity. For the congruence, all the 6 elements may not be equal, but at least the 3 elements of 2 different triangles. Whenever we are discussing the congruence or whenever we are discussing the similarity, it simply means that we are discussing about a pair of triangles, means the 2 different triangles. Whenever we are having the questions for the exercise 11A, the congruence, and for the 11B, the similarity, so it simply means that we are discussing right now a pair of triangles, means 2 different triangles, and in this particular pair of triangles, as you can see that they are almost equal. This is side 1, this is side 1, this is side 2, this is side 2, this is side 3, angle 1, angle 1, angle 2, angle 2, angle 3 and angle 3. So these are the two different triangles. All the almost sides and angles are equal right now, but in the different questions you don't have all the elements equal, or you are not mentioned all the elements as equal. Some of the elements, at least 3 elements, must be congruent. Congruent means equal to each other. For representing their equality means congruence. So the 4 different congruence tests that we have discussed for the congruence are: number 1, SSS, number 2, SAS, number 3 is your AAS, and then we are having RHS. So these are the 4 different concepts. This simply means that the 3 different corresponding sides of 2 triangles must be equal, must be congruent for representing their congruence. It simply means that the 2 different sides and 1 included angle must be congruent from one triangle to the corresponding second triangle. For the third one, if we are having the 2 congruent angles and the 1 congruent side for the 2 corresponding triangles, and for the fourth one, if the right angle, the hypotenuse side and one other side is same or congruent to the corresponding right angle triangle. So in all these 4 conditions, if the 3 elements in these particular conditions are congruent, so it simply means that, for example, if I am mentioning the points over there, this is A, B, C, this is P, Q and R. So in this condition, your triangle ABC, the first one triangle, and your triangle PQR, the second one triangle, they both are congruent. And for representing the congruence, we use simply these 3 lines, as we use the 2 different lines for equality. So for congruence, we use 3 different lines. One more additional symbol today I am telling you that we may use for the congruence. This is the symbol that is having these 2 lines and this particular symbol. This is also given in the different mathematical books, but in your book this symbol is given as your congruence. Okay, so this is all about your congruence. Now we are discussing our today's last topic, similarities. So what are the similarities? In similarity is also a type of congruence, but in the congruence, the 3 angles and the 3 different sides must be equal in their measurement. If we are talking about the similarity, for similarity, the 3 corresponding angles are equal, as in congruence, 3 corresponding angles are equal. But what about the sides? All the sides are congruent? No, all the sides are not congruent, but the sides are proportional. Sides are not congruent or not equal, but they are proportional. What do we mean by proportional? Proportion is also a type of equality, and it represents the equality of different ratios. What are the ratios? Ratios are the comparison of 2 different quantities of the similar kind. For example, I may compare my 5 kg to my 1 kg, but I cannot compare my 5 kg to 1 liter. Why cannot I compare these 2 different quantities, and why do I compare these 2 different quantities? Because their physical quantities, kilograms and kilograms, they are same, and here the physical quantities that we are having is your kilogram and this is your liter. So these are the 2 different physical quantities for the 2 different types of matters. So that is why I can compare these 2 different quantities, and I cannot compare these 2 different quantities. So they are making ratio and they are not making a ratio. This is your ratio. Whenever we are having a ratio, we can write a ratio in the form of fraction. This is 5 over 1. For example, if I am changing this number as 4. So this is a ratio for your, this is the fraction for your ratio. This is 5 over 5. So what we have to do for the similarity, all the corresponding sides. For the angles, all the angles are congruent, but for the sides, this first one side and is this first one side from your corresponding triangle, they are not equal in measurement, but if we make a ratio for these two different sides, for example this is 2 centimeter, this is 4 centimeter, so the ratio will be 2:4 and the fraction will be 2/4. Likewise this is 3 centimeter and this side is not equal, so it is more, so this is 6 centimeter. So what is the ratio for these two corresponding sides? The side 2, this is 3:6 and 3:6 is equals to 3/6. First one ratio, second one ratio. Now working for the last ratio, that is your ratio number 3. If this side is 4 centimeter, the third one side and this one is obviously not equal according to the similarity condition. So this is the double of this side, this is 8 centimeter. So what is the ratio for the third correspondent side? This is 4:8 and the fraction for this is 4/8. So now if I am comparing these three different ratios on this particular section of the board, yes, the ratios are 2/4 in the fractional form, the third one is 3/6 for the second one and the last one is 4/8. So according to the book, they are all equal, they are proportional whenever they are in ratio form. For example 2:4, 3:6 and 4:8. So they become proportional with the help of this particular sign, that is including the 4 different dots, and this is the sign that we use for representing the proportion. And whenever we convert these different particular ratios in the fractional form, so this sign also converts into the mark of equality. Now if we apply the simplification on these three ratios, 4 ones are 4 and 4 twos are 8, so they all become equal. 1/2 is equals to 1/2 is equals to 1/2. So in this form, all these three different correspondent sides from triangle 1 to corresponding triangle 2 are proportional, means they are equal in their ratio form. So this is simply all about your similarities. In exercise 11A, we have discussed the different concepts and all the congruence tests for exercise 11A. In 11B, we have discussed the similarity completely with the all different similarity tests, and in exercise 11C, we have discussed both the congruence and the similarity with the different similarity and the congruence test, but in the word problem form. The questions were given in exercise 11C in the word problem form. So this is all about your chapter number 11. We are having the content on the board. In content, we are having chapter number 1. As quadratic equations and functions. Chapter number 2 or serial number 2. The chapter from our book is from serial number 3, that is the linear inequalities in one variable. The last one is our chapter number 11. Congruence and similarity tests. So after the completion of your revision, what will you do? Firstly, we will move toward this particular copy, and as I have also told you in the very first video session that firstly you have to maintain your copy for your this particular basic information that is represented over here, and also the very first page of your copy. So firstly, today I am also advising you to maintain your information over here and over here, and after that this is your index. And I have also told you about your index. Now today I will show you how you will maintain your index. This is the complete index for your week number 1, 2, 3, and on the very next page this is your week number 4, 5 and 6. As you can see, and right over here I have mentioned first semester midterm content has been completed, and you can see over here we have mentioned first semester midterm content or first semester midterm has been started, and you can also see that the content is very clear with the date. Every date you can see over here, every question that we have solved in the different video sessions is mentioned over here, and you can also see that I have mentioned this particular index week wise. So for the very first week, then second and third, and on the next page this is your week number 4, 5 and 6, and this is the closing of your index. So this is how will you mention your index. Now after that you will complete all your copy work right after the main title page of first semester midterm has been started, and session you will mention 2020 till 21, and you will also mention the date over here. The date column that is mentioned, that is printed on every page of your copy, as you can see. So you will work for the date respectively. And after the completion of your 3 different chapters, for example, this is your completion of 3 different chapters. Firstly, what will you do? Right after the completion of your work from your different content solutions that is provided to you from week number 1 to week number 6, make sure your work is completed. After that, you will mention this content on the very next page with the also mentioning the date. This is your content, that is including chapter number 1, chapter number 3, chapter number 11, quadratic equations and functions, linear inequalities in one variable, and congruence and similarity tests respectively. And after that you have to mention this closing page, and this closing page, if you can see this clearly, this is first semester midterm has been completed. So you have to also make this good title page as I have mentioned over here. So this is the copy work. And what about your examination practice? As you will join your physical classes at school, so your examination for the midterm will be conducted, and the schedule will be given to you for your convenience. And what about your mathematical exams? Mathematics is the subject in which you may get the complete marks, means if the midterm is for 30 marks, so you may get the 30 out of 30 marks. So how will you mention your marks? You will how will you practice your content? You will practice your content for every chapter, for every question that is given in your content in your question week number 1. This is your content that is given in your week number 1. This is your mathematical content. All the questions, all the relevant exercises are mentioned over here. So you will focus this content and all the video sessions that I have conducted for you. And after that, as you will practice your all the relevant questions from all this related chapters, inshallah you will be able to get the full marks in mathematics. And after that I am explaining you on the board how will you attempt your examination. So for attempting an examination, the first thing that I have used to tell you in the different previous video classes is this: you have to, or you must be able to identify the question or the type of the question. So the paper pattern for this particular respected organization, that is Bright Career School. So the paper pattern that is we are having for our midterm examination is section A, then section B, and then section C. This is section A, and the paper is divided into 3 different sections. So the first one section is your multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions, that is MCQs. There are the 10 different MCQs given and you have to attempt all these 10 MCQs, and the marks this section carry is the 10. This section carries the 10 marks. Section B also carries the same marks. What about the section B? In section B we are having the different several questions, and in this section B we are having the short answer question. And in this short question answer section you are having the different questions, more than 5, and you have to attempt only 5 questions, any of the 5 of your choice that you want to attempt. So you will attempt only 5 questions and each question is for 2 marks. So this particular section also carries the 10 marks. Now the last section, the detailed section, that carries your detailed question answer question. And here also 3 or 4 questions are given to you and you have to attempt only the 2 different questions, and this section also carries your 10 marks. So this is your paper pattern. How will you attempt your exam? Whenever you are attempting your exam and whenever you are in examination hall, so you must be sure about the question that you have selected from these given sections, especially from section B and section C, and you must be perfect for that particular question. And this is the paper pattern for our school. This is your section A and this is your section B. All these are the short answer questions till here, and from here we are starting our section C, that is detailed answer question or descriptive type paper. And in this section, yes, most important thing that I must tell you, in this particular section, section C, the questions are given in the parts. For example, in this section the question is given as question number 3 part A and also question number 3 part B. So if you are attempting question number 1, so you will attempt part A and part B as well. By attempting these both parts, your one question will be considered, and right after that if you are attempting question number 4, so you will attempt part A then part B of question number 4. So the 2 questions will be completed by following these steps. So this is how will your examination will be conducted right after your arrival at the school, and how will you practice your content for the midterm first semester 2020. And this is our last video session for your first semester midterm 2020, and I hope that you have got all the different concepts that we have discussed in the different video sessions, and I am really sure that you will practice as I have guide you guys for your convenience, and you will not waste the efforts of your teachers for these video sessions. And best of luck for your midterm examinations. Till then, as you arrive to the school, till then take care of yourself, and goodbye and Allah Hafiz to all of you.